They not only provide information but also help us to build opinions on various subjects such as sports, entertainment, information, etc. One of the important features of newspapers in recent times is its importance on travel and feature writing. In today's segment, we will talk about newspapers, the making of a newspaper and its influence in tourism. The topics covered will be newspapers, type and content, newspaper and tourism, travel writing in newspapers, and web newspapers. Every morning, every household begins its day with a cup of tea and a newspaper. The newspaper is the main conveyor of news. The news has, at one point or another, played a part in our everyday lives. Be it the weather report giving flash flood warnings, information on travel, on political campaigns, health information, beauty and grooming, recipes or games, we crave for it. Newspapers are considered to be the most authentic means of communication, communicating facts and vital information to a large number of people. In fact, the beginning of the day seems incomplete without a flip through the newspaper. Even in the time of instant information such as television, radio, internet and mobile phones, the newspapers have not lost their significance and still remain the most sought after means of communication for the masses. The newspaper consists of current news related to political events, crimes, business, sports, entertainment, culture and opinions. Talking about the definition of a newspaper. What is a newspaper? A newspaper can be defined as a printed periodical whose purpose is to deliver news, views, features, advertisements and other information of public interest in an up-to-date, factual manner. It is usually issued daily, weekly or at regular intervals. Now let's have a look at the newspaper staff. There are different people who constitute in the making of a newspaper. Firstly comes the owner of the newspaper, who is called as the publisher. The newspaper publisher is the person responsible for the overall management of the newspaper operation. Next comes the editor, who is responsible for the overall content of the paper. He makes sure everything runs to plan and has the final say on what appears in the newspaper. Next is the news editor, who is a senior journalist and in charge of a team of journalists and a section of the paper, who decides what story should be covered. News editors look at the stories coming in and decide which ones to follow up. Reporters research and write the reports. Most reporters specialize in an area such as government, crime, sports, travel, religion or science. This specialty is called the reporter's beat. A reporter's role is to assess what is going on to make a good story and pull all the key elements together. Feature writers are those who write longer, less news-oriented articles. Features tend to be subjective and reflective articles in newspapers. They contain material such as comments, in-depth analysis of people and the events, opinions, advice or assessment. A lot of feature articles tend to be placed in pre-select parts of the paper, such as analysis and the leader page. Photographers and graphic artists provide images and illustrations to substantiate the articles. Talking of columnists are journalists who write regular articles recounting their personal opinions and experiences. A columnist is a writer of the column. He usually writes about subjects of interest to current events or community happenings. Columns are not considered news stories. A column is an article usually written by the same person on a regular basis. A working journalist. A working journalist is a person whose principal avocation is that of a journalist and who is employed as such either whole-time or part-time or in relation to one or more newspaper establishments and includes an editor, a leader, a writer, a news editor, sub-editor, feature writer. Moving over to the next subject, that is newspaper types and contents. Newspapers can be classified into a number of types depending upon the content and the duration of its publications. They could be national newspapers, regional, local, and tabloids. A national newspaper basically is a newspaper which covers news across the whole country together with international news. Regional newspapers of course contain some national and international news but focus on news relating to a specific area of the country. Local newspapers contain some national and international news but focus on merely local news topics in detail, usually based around towns, cities, or groups of villages. A tabloid can be defined as a newspaper that covers all international news. It often contains a certain amount of more gossipy or scandalous personal stories. It caters to a small section of readers. Newspaper contents. Talking of newspaper contents, newspapers consist of current news that could be related to political events, crime, travel, business, culture, sports, and opinions. In order to get a better feel of the story, sometimes photographs and caricatures are used. Some of the other regular features of a newspaper are weather news and forecast, advice columns, editorial columns, comic strips, sports, international news, local news, and business section. Newspapers also do have separate section which consists of games like Sudoku, crosswords, horoscope, and quiz section. Why do people read newspapers? Everybody except a few read newspapers. A newspaper offers something interesting to read for every section of the society and member of the family. Different people read the newspaper for different purposes. Young graduates scan the job advertisement pages and keep abreast of the recent developments in various fields, be it in politics, economics, science, sports, or art and culture. The schoolboy looks at the sports section for detailed happenings in cricket and other events. The head of the household reads about government matters and other events. Business entrepreneurs follow through business news and keep in touch with the economic and commercial trends in the country and current share prices. Politicians need them to read recent political views and reviews. Those who love to visit places read travel features. Others read newspapers to know how changes around them affect their lives. Housewives could look for topics like crockery, health, and beauty care tips. Casual readers look for sensational topics like loot, murder, kidnapping, etc. Others could go through the daily predictions of the zodiac. There are others who are interested in the articles and the letters to the editor. Those who love the glamour world read the pages of fashion, movies, and film stars. Talking about tourism and newspapers. What is tourism? Tourism is travel for recreation, leisure, or business purposes. It is the study of people, places, and their interactions. It is a global industry and in many countries is a major employer and a valuable source of income and growth. As such, it not only has an impact on economy but also has a significant effect on the environment, host communities, and their cultures. During the last years of the 20th century, the tourism industry itself has been a subject of news. The expansion of the industry has also stimulated journalism to focus exclusively on it. There are magazines devoted to travel exclusively. Besides, regional, national, and local newspapers have increasingly featured weekly or monthly travel sections. And today, many publish large weekly supplements. Until the 1920s, the press was a major journalistic forum. But radio, film, and television have greatly expanded the journalistic field. Journalists and photographers have helped to promote tourism industry with photos, articles, features, and other information. Why do people travel? With the change in lifestyle and the hectic work schedules, people are always on the lookout for rare and unexplored destinations across the globe to spend their much cherished vacations. However, prior to spending money, nowadays people prefer for a proper planning of a vacation while gathering adequate information about the place and the surrounding attractions. Perhaps this is the reason why travel writing is now one of the most demanded forms of newspaper writing. Let's have a look at some of the travel sections in newspapers. Today, a number of newspapers in their printed editions maintain excellent travel sections that are worth reading on a daily basis. They provide a wealth of travel information. These papers have also made a strong transition into the internet age with comprehensive travel websites. Travel sections focus on new tourist destinations and vacation spots that are constantly being developed. This section is comprehensive with in-depth feature stories, tips for selecting local eateries, and reporting on consumer issues. Many newspapers publish a list of airfares to popular destinations throughout the country and world in their Sunday travel sections. Most regional and national newspapers, as well as general magazines, have travel supplements or regular articles. Travel writing is one of the most competitive sectors of non-fiction writing. All major newspapers have travel supplements, particularly on weekends. Articles for these newspapers tend to be more narrative than descriptive. First-person accounts focusing on the experience rather than the practicalities. Let's talk about two national newspapers that have been carrying travel features on a regular basis. One is the Economic Times. It is an English language daily newspaper published by the Bennett Coleman and Co. Limited. It was started in 1961. It is the most popular and widely read financial daily in India, read by more than 8 lakh people. ET Travel is a weekly all-colored supplement which covers travel and tourism aimed at the burgeoning band of Indians who want to see and know about their country and the rest of the world. Another newspaper of importance is the Sunday Herald Travel. Sunday Herald, a weekly supplement of Deccan Herald, is one of the largest English daily of the state of Karnataka. It covers strong, thought-provoking and mainstream concerned issues. Besides, it carries regular features on consumer issues, animal welfare, gardening, bridge, crossword, and offbeat travel logs. The entertainment section of the Sunday Heralds keeps the readers updated with the latest happenings in showbiz. About 3 to 4 travel features from India and abroad are carried in this section. Let's talk about travel writing in newspapers. Print and visual media are extremely important when it comes to promoting tourism opportunities around the world. As the old saying goes, a picture really is worth 1,000 words. And many travel agencies and destination resorts are taking advantage of the image-filled media of print, internet and television to entice potential vacations. There is abundant travel information written largely by professional travel writers and editors. Their ability to vividly describe the beauty of the place and write about the attractions with a streak of adventure and spirits make the writings truly enjoyable to read. The travel article has two basic objectives. One, to inform the reader by way of facts, and the other, to enlighten him by way of impressions. The travel writer must be perspective enough to look beyond landmarks and scenery, although both are important, to the less conspicuous elements of his trips, such as people, customs, and atmospheres. Although the travel writer takes a considerable amount of notes during his actual travel, there is often preliminary research to be done before he leaves. Information can be obtained from travel bureaus, chamber of commerce, books, magazines, other travelers, and newspapers in the town of destination. In addition, querying editors and informing them of the travel destination can help the writer in focusing his research, since it is possible that editors will make suggestions when making assignments. The travel writer should be prepared either to take photographs or to collaborate with a photographer, because photographs are an essential part of most travel pieces. Trips are organized for travel writers and broadcasters for the purpose of assisting them in developing stories about tourism destinations. Nowadays, there is an increasing demand for talented and experienced travel writers who have the ability of making the readers dream about their perfect holiday after reading their write-ups. An important point to be kept in mind is that travel writing is very different from normal informative articles. The writer has to be extremely careful while choosing the words and should aim at writing content that is interesting as well as promotional. While writing the article or review, the writer should keep in mind the essential information regarding a destination. For instance, by laying emphasis on factors like, firstly, covering the venue of tourist attractions, selecting the best possible route to the desired destination, thirdly, the best hotels in the cities, the best time of the year to travel to the place, and an idea of the socio-cultural background of the place and languages spoken in the area. In their writings, travel writers not only help the readers get a fair idea about the destination they plan to visit, but also compel them to visit the place to explore the wonderful mysteries and adventures it has in store for the travelers. Travel features. What are travel features? Features related to travel appeal to a wide audience. It can be a narrative, a rant, an opinion, or an observation, or just about anything else along these lines. It tells readers all of the different things to do there or the history of the area, including local myths, legends, and the ghost stories. Key features of travel writing in newspapers include detailed description of people and places. The writer's thoughts and feelings about the place should be made clear. Language must be descriptive and imaginative. Travel writing is usually written in first person. Photo feature syndicates. When it comes to tourism industry, seeing is believing. Pictures show the traveler exactly what your destination can offer them. Tourism relies on vibrant, bright, eye-catching and better quality photos which complement the photo features. As a result, newspapers run photo features regularly in travel sections. Obviously, for a photo feature, choosing the right photographs is of utmost importance. Photos as such show not only the basics such as terrain, resort exterior and meals, but also show people experiencing certain emotional reactions like relaxation and happiness. Because these images are powerful storytellers, they usually take up more space on newspapers, brochures and websites than text. Feature syndicates. Open any newspaper travel section and you are bound to see articles picked up by syndicates. A feature syndicate can be defined as an agency that sells to newspapers and other media writing and special artwork, often written by a noted journalist or eminent authority that cannot be classified as spot coverage of news. Columns, articles, travel features, travel logs, reviews, photography, puzzles or cartoons are provided by these agencies. iTravel Syndicate sells to the editors nationwide some of the best articles in travel journalism today at affordable prices. Travel and tourism advertisements. No stranger to newspaper ads, this tourism industry spends large amounts of money each year on strategically placed advertising. However, the method has become more refined and prophylactic. Newspapers solely devoted to travel are in stronger abundance than ever. They now have a much stronger platform to promote tourism through vibrant photographs and more lengthy articles. Outdoor photographers fill their issues to the brim with pictures and print media that capture interest of individuals looking for a place to explore. The travel advertisements provide good revenues to the newspapers and the readership interest of people also increases. can also be knowledgeable because of the information they give about the other country or city. Travel and tourism industry rely on heavily newspapers for advertising because people are reading newspapers extensively. It is considered to be a reliable medium. Newspaper is a very relevant media, not only to reach the masses, but the advertisers can also give proper details of the package in the newspaper. Travel and tourism people also advertise in other mediums, but newspaper is extensively being used by them. Local ads have a fantastic appeal. The print medium, especially the Times Group, has been able to deliver good returns. It is a fact that the main revenue of the newspapers are from the advertisers. Travel and tourism ads are seen extensively during the vacation period in the month of April, May and June. But otherwise also they invest a lot on advertising space in newspapers. Communication technology is being developed at a speed that defies comparison. The telegraph came first, then the telephone, the newspapers, radio and television, and most recently the World Wide Web through the Internet. Web journalism is journalism as it is practiced online. An online newspaper, also known as a web newspaper, is a newspaper that exists on the World Wide Web or Internet either separately or as an online version of a printed periodical. Websites run by newspapers are basically extensions of the papers themselves. As such, they can provide a wide range of articles in a variety of areas like news, sports, business, the arts, etc., written by their staff of professional reporters. The stories are written specifically for the web instead of newspaper, radio, television, or magazines. It can include the use of text, photographs, graphics, hypertext, audio, and video to tell the stories. Web journalism encompasses a wide spectrum from news to information, from investigative journalism to repurposing content, from multimedia interactions to bullet lists. Web journalism helps one to read, hear and view the news all at the same time. Chicago Online was the first newspaper launched by the Chicago Tribune in the United States in May 1992. In 1994, the Electronic Telegraph launched UK's first newspaper website with the aim of exploring this new medium. In 1997, BBC Online started a full-service internet site, and in less than a year, 140,000 pages of content and 61,000 pages of news were available to the public. The Hindu was the first Indian newspaper to launch an internet edition in 1995. By 1998, there were at least 48 newspapers in India that had their internet editions. By 2006, almost all major dailies and most of the established news magazines, radios and television channels of India have their net edition. Today, millions of people are turning to the internet for news as well as travel information. Most news websites are free to their users. One notable exception being the Wall Street Journal website, for which a subscription is required to view its contents. Immediacy is a big factor in online journalism, but it is not simple. On the web, there is the potential to update your news minute by minute to give the latest news. A single news site can post dozens of different updates on stories every few minutes. Fortunately, the print media has kept pace with the changing technology by starting web editions despite the slow internet takeoff in the country. Today, most of the newspapers have their web editions. The web versions not only complement the print version with in-depth information, but also make them lively with its multimedia features. It has transformed the online newspapers to smart and lively creatures. Today, more people get their news from the internet than the newspapers. About 2 decades ago, information was a scarce commodity. People did some unbelievable things to secure it. They subscribed and waited patiently for a week, a month, or more to receive their favorite magazines. Today, information has become an all-time available commodity. It is available at the click of a mouse. It beeps, vibrates, pops up, invades and permeates every waking moment to the point where you cannot wait to unplug and get away from the onslaught. As in any oversupply scenario, no one cares to pay for information and no one waits. The web has become a staunch champion of free information. A web page is fundamentally a scrolling experience for the user, as opposed to the canvas experience of a print media. Print design is two-dimensional. It is obviously possible for the reader to turn the page. The two media are complementary, not competitive. The way forward is together. In conclusion, newspapers are emerging to meet the needs of the evolved domestic traveler. Local publications are competing well with international publications with high-end print technology to add the X factor to pictures of destination and stories. Mainline dailies are also adding editorial supplements on travel. Print is dynamic and allows brands to make prerequisite changes in packages and prices, as well as much more economical than TV. Tourism is the second largest industry in the world and is the source of income in many countries. Vacationing to rare unexplored places is indeed the most sought after activity in today's world. The number of features and information about travel in newspapers and their web editions is endless. Most newspapers have travel sections which are illustrated often with the quality of writing quite high. Newspapers need more articles. More often, they are more open to new writings. They tend to have a built-in audience that reads and responds to what you write. Therefore, it is useful to promote it through newspapers and online media. Perhaps this is the reason why travel writing in newspapers and their websites is one of the most demanding forms of writing.